Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion.
Here.
Mrs. King.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Mr. Schuler.
Here.
Mr. Tinkin absent. Mr. Borbeck absent. Mayor Mechanical.
Here. Pursuant to the requirements of the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice filed in the office of the Borough Clerk, posted on the Borough website, and on a bulletin board in the municipal building. Published as a legal notice in the Coast Star newspaper, mailed to those requesting notice, providing payment in accordance with borough policy. Need a motion to approve the agenda with the inclusion of Resolution R 2015-172.
No motion.
Second.
Any questions on the agenda?
Mayor, are we also adding this one?
That's, which one is that?
166.
160.
I don't see it listed down here.
That was the executive session resolution.
Right.
That's on the top.
Where is it, on the top?
166 at the top.
Which 160?
No, this one here, the one we had in the executive session. 166.
Right, if you look at the top of the agenda, it has that, the resolution for executive session.
Are we going to the motion on that? Vote on it tonight?
The executive session?
That resolution we just discussed for the renewal.
That's already on.
It's already on the
That's
agenda.
169, right?
No, 166.
No,
160.
169 is the GIF,
Oh,
166
the resolution,
already did,
gotcha.
is already done for the executive session, so it's all.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Gotcha.
good. So this would be just the one addition of Resolution 172. Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion.
Yes.
Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mr. Schuler.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes for November 9th, 2015.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion.
Yes.
Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mr. Schuler.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We do have a presentation before by Ms. Griffin, about the environmental chairwoman, but before we do that, I just would like to present something first, Kat, if you don't mind. Only take a minute. I'd like to call Councilwoman King down. Ms. Eilenberger, up. Mr. Tarantino, Mr. Patterson, and Mr. Carey. If you don't mind, just come up. In case you're all wondering why I called these fine group of people up. Well, I just like to show our appreciation for the town and the council for all the work they do with the veterans in town. Over the years, Rich does plenty of work with the veterans dinner. Eileen does a tremendous amount of work there. Mr. Tarantino, John does a tremendous amount there. Mr. Patterson, the commander of American Legion Post 432, and all year long he's always there when the town needs him, when the veterans need him. And of course, Sarah always gives her time and energy to it. So I'm just going to present them with a little token of our appreciation. I'll read one. They're all the same. So I will read one and then I'll pass them out to you.
Names are different.
Your name's on all of them, Rich.
It's from Borough of Spring Lake Heights. This is a certificate of our appreciation. This will be presented to each one of our lovely residents here tonight. This is in recognition of his or her time, dedication, and generous commitment in preparing the luncheon for the veterans of Spring Lake Heights. This is strictly for the luncheon, but as I said before, these fine people give their time and energy all year long, not just for that luncheon. And I, as a veteran, I appreciate it. And we have a couple of veterans up here, Jim and Mr. O'Brien. they appreciate it. Rich is a veteran, I know he appreciates it. Tarantino and John. I guess you're not.
No.
Please accept this with our greatest gratitude for everything you did by us.
I just want to add that since our luncheon, we've had several attendees come into the office, some just making a trip to say thank you and what a wonderful event it was.
Thank you, sir. Did you spell my name right?
If it isn't, you have to see me, John.
Hugh's not here, right? Huey Mead also, right, he's absent tonight. Also, I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. It's a little cold out there.
Not that cold. I think it was cold during the Battle of the Bulge.
John, thank you for everything you did, John. And Rich. I say Rich for last.
We'll say the best for last.
And don't go into it, I saw him board a camera, I would like to get a picture of it.
Would you mind if I got one from the newspaper as well? If I can figure out. One, two.
Ready? 5, 4, 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Mr. Mayor? If I may, before we got to other matters, I'd like to commend a few people. That one of the attendees had a medical incident. And I know, and Huey Mead Jr., who's a state trooper, former, well, he gets to know former Marine, once a Marine, always Marine. He provided immediate medical assistance, and then officers, Kenny and the Tunis, their immediate response and the first aid saved what could have been a potentially worse situation. And I understand, Janine, the gentleman in question is recovered well.
He certainly did, yep.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks again. Okay, you want to step forward? Ms. Cripp is going to give a presentation as the environmental chairwoman about New Jersey Community Forest Program.
That's okay. I'll talk loud. At the last meeting, Councilman Campion had said if anybody had an idea for grants or funding, to please bring them forward. And these are things that the Environmental Commission had been working on, so it seemed like a good idea to bring them out. One is called the Community Forestry Program. It's administered by the State Department of Forestry. And they have funding available for tree replanting and for maintenance and for various programs. The catch is that you have to be approved to participate in the program. So I'm bringing this up now because the approval process takes approximately a year. So if you were to start this now, by about this time next year, hopefully you'd get approval for this. There's 3 steps to it. You need to pick 2 core people to go to training. One person has to be an employee, and one person has to be a volunteer. So for the employee, if you wanted to pick like a public works person, somebody who's involved with the parks and the horticulture, you start putting together a preliminary tree plan. Those people will go to training, the core people. They start working on putting together a preliminary tree plan. And then they fill out an application for a Green Communities grant. It's $3,000 and it covers the final long-term tree maintenance plan. And for that, you get somebody like Kevin Thompson or Alec Burke, who's a tree expert, who writes up your final plan. You submit it for approval. They could kick it back for amendments, or hopefully you get approved. And then at that point, you're eligible to apply for other funding. And I think that one of the things that we saw was that between Hurricane Irene and Hurricane Sandy, historically, the trees were kind of, everybody enjoyed them and they were there, but they hadn't had a lot of maintenance done, and we saw what happened after the storm. So I think having a long-term plan in place is good. The grant that you get, they do ask for a partial match from the town, but they take an in-kind match. So for example, my time tonight talking about this, I keep track of all the time when we've talked about it at environmental commission meetings, talk about it tonight. That goes as an in-kind donation. Also, when Nancy Haydick came and she talked about her project that she's been working on to get some designs for buffer plantings over at Olair Road Park and Fletcher, that can be part of the in-kind donation. We're also getting another plan for the buffering and reforesting around the East Grove area. So anything to do with trees, we can include in this project, and that strengthens our commitment to the environment, to getting this done. Another project that we could put on there would be something like Jim Shore Road. I know that's always a sore point, is that Shore Road area is completely overgrown. It hasn't been cleaned out like forever. There's some issues cleaning it because most of it's wetlands, you need DEP permits. This is all stuff that you can include in that plan, and they will help you with it, and they will help you get funding for it. So I think it's a worthwhile plan.
Who's the administrator of that program?
It's the New Jersey State Department of Forestry. So, if you want to pick people, and maybe at the next meeting, if you have a resolution for, if you want to go forward with it, I don't know if you need to discuss it, it's pretty cut and dry. I would have printed out the program brochure for you, but it's 74 pages. And I didn't think anybody was going to have the time to read it, but I didn't want to kill that many trees either, because it seems sort of anti what we were trying to do here.
So what, I mean, where's that? It's on the New Jersey
Yeah, if
Forestry
you go,
website?
I could send Jay the link,
That would
and
be
he
great.
can circulate it around.
Then you don't
because
have to
it's
print
really-
it and
Yeah.
get there ourselves.
It's
Great.
a really good program to be involved in, and basically what they're trying to do is they want you to have a plan in place before they agree to allow you to come for funding, so that they know exactly what it is that you're looking to do, and that helps them budget too, because then they know who their members are and who might be coming looking for work. And Jay, I think, did you say you had exposure to this program?
If it's the same one I'm thinking of, does it require a shade tree commission?
No,
It does, okay.
different one.
All right, I'm familiar more with the shade tree
Oh, all right, okay.
part of it.
So, yeah, so it's good. So I'll give Jay the links.
Okay, thanks.
And have him send the stuff around, and then if you want to go forward, I have all the paperwork, and I've been in touch with the office in Trenton, so, let me know what you want to do, and we can go from there. The other program was something that is parenthetically to do with environment. About 2 to 3 years ago, I was one of the representatives from Monmouth County Planning Board when they redid the master plan. And through that, I became aware of this program. It's called the Community Planning Assistance Program. It's offered by the American Planning Association, the New Jersey chapter, and it's a free program. It provides volunteer planning support to municipalities in New Jersey. And one of the things that I was always concerned about is that our master plan doesn't have a really comprehensive section on the environment. There's different components to the master plan. So when it's been updated in the past, usually they throw in something about, look for opportunities to improve Rec Pond, which is great and it's necessary, but there's also things like remediation of flooding, there's stormwater management, there's a lot more environmental stuff we should be taking into an account. So I had talked to these people, and I wish Mr. Vorbach was here, because we had them come one night to meet a little group of people and talk about what they could do. And Tom was one of the people who was there, and he liked it. One of the issues is that our master plan in this town is from 1978, and when it's been re-examined, basically, it just kind of gets rubber stamped that that's okay and we'll just go. So when these professional planners saw that, they said, you can't really go forward easily with a plan that's almost 40 years old. Like, your vision of the town is 40 years old. And it's, in order to take into account changes in, just how people live, how zoning is, you really have to update it. And if you think about it, the problems that we always wind up arguing about are sidewalks and setbacks and size of houses and zoning and what should be in the zone, what shouldn't be in the zone. And all that should be covered in the master plan, and it, maybe at one time it was, but it's kind of aged. So here's what these folks said that they would come in on a volunteer basis and do. They'll review all current land use ordinance along with any current and recent plans to get an idea of what people have been looking to do in town. They'll hold a workshop with the various borough officials to help determine what the challenges and opportunities are, what we perceive as a problem, what we want to retain, get an idea from the borough officials what their vision is. Discuss the options with public participation, which they will facilitate, which to me is a great bonus, because nobody likes to be the person who sits up in front of a huge meeting of townspeople who always seem to want to complain the first time that they come to a meeting. So it would be a good way to have a disinterested third party sit down and mediate and facilitate big meetings to get the feedback. They then take all of that information and they review it against the different master plan components that exist now. They will identify costs and they will talk to you about budget constraints. So for example, and I know you're always concerned about saving money, Tom, you always bring that up, you don't want to cost money, but they'll show you ways to break this out, so you don't have to do your plan all at one time. You could do it in little chunks and break the cost down. They'll implement an approach and they'll draft an RFP to go out to bid for a master plan. Now, the reason I'm bringing this one up now, originally, when we met and we talked about this, it was 2 years ago, and everybody said, oh, master plan, manana, it's not due yet. Well, it's due this coming year, and it's going to fall in your lap, and you're going to be on the planning board, so you're going to have to come armed with some stuff. So you might want to start thinking about this. All these people want to do at this point is come and make a presentation about what they can do. So they would like to have like a joint council planning board meeting. I don't know that the planning board is going to meet in December. Maybe we could get the planning board people here, of which I'm one. Maybe they can come to the council meeting in December and you can have these guys make a presentation. But it seems like a worthwhile program. It's all professional planners. It's an opportunity to get their input. It's their volunteer program. It's their way of giving back to communities. And they were very interested in doing it because they looked at the town, they looked at the master plan, they saw the master plan was old, they saw some issues in the zoning ordinance, and they thought it would be an interesting project for them to work on as well. So if that's something you have an interest in, I can reach out to them, I can have Jay reach out to them, let me know, and it's free. The cost involved is your time to come and hear them, but.
Well, we could probably poll the council right now to see if they want to move forward. I don't see a problem with that, right, Gary?
I don't see a problem with that, Mr. Mayor.
If you have an opinion one way or the other, Chris.
I take exception to calling it old, it happens to be my birth years. But I think it's a great idea, especially if it costs nothing and you get professionals to come in here and look at it. I'm one for planning, and the biggest part is they need to be revised and looked at, especially with changes in demographic change in the town and development that's happening. If we're relying on a plan that's 40 years old, obviously a lot has happened in 4 years.
I think too, the components have changed. I believe there's a technology component now, which I don't think we have, and like I said, the environmental component is really sparse, and I think there's a recreation component that is not very beefy, so,
I'm
you know.
interested to hear what they have to say.
I'm very interested because I think we've been kicking around things for way too long. I mean, I'm on the council 6 years and it seems like these subjects come up every so often, and I think it would be an absolutely
When I came on in
beneficial thing.
2008 and you were on, the sidewalks, everybody screamed about sidewalks, they're still screaming about
Yeah.
sidewalks, and it never goes away, and it's like, you know, so this might be an opportunity to take a lot of those different issues that just never seem to get resolved, and especially if they would facilitate these community meetings and get everybody together and say, what do you want, you know, here's the reason you really can't have that or shouldn't have that, here's the reason why you need this, and they will have the professional understanding of what you need to put in there and what you don't.
Well, I
But
think
it's,
that's the key right there, is
Yeah.
the professionalism. And I think that's something that we do need, because we seem to just be kicking the can down the road and not really getting very far. So I think the professionalism of this group of people would probably move us in the right direction.
yeah.
I mean, do we have examples of some towns that they've worked with?
I know they worked with Bradley Beach.
Okay.
That was a few years back when Julie Schreck was mayor,
Okay.
and I had the list at one time. We had the meeting, and like I said, people said, oh, you know, that's years away that we would have to worry about doing this.
Or it's just,
And everybody kind of pushed it off, and now all of a sudden, it's like, here it is again. So I contacted these fellows, and they said, you know, we'll come in and make a presentation. We would still be interested in doing it. So all I want to do is talk to the decision makers to see if you're interested, and then they'll outline going forward what the town would need to do, so,
yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
that's good. Let's hear what they have to say.
okay, so I will.
So, what do you need, Jay, to contact them?
I can email them, but if they need something for you, Jay, you and I can hook them up, and we'll see if we can get them in, and then the planning board would have to be invited,
Is that the intent
Well,
is to
I don't
have
know,
a
see what their schedule is, Jay, I mean, we have one meeting.
Yeah, because when last night I participated in that meeting, which again
Yes,
was
you
about 2
were
years
there,
ago.
that's right.
And it was, at least at that point, primarily the focus of the planning board, and the planning board was sort of taking the lead, although I think the first item that had been established was that the requirement for a master plan reexamination was several years off at that point.
At that point. It crept up really fast, and Tom was gonna get it with
They
it,
did.
so, lucky you. All right, so we'll figure it out, so, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have the public comment section where the public may speak on any agenda item. Just step forward and give your name and address, and you may speak on any agenda item. Seeing no hands, I need a motion to close the public
I'll
comment.
make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, as far as discussion items, I noticed their last meeting, I made a recommendation, I would like to rename, well, not rename, but I would like to name the Fletcher property Veterans Tribute Park. And I don't, there was a couple little kinks in the armor there, if you want to put it that way, that came up. I don't know if have those been overcome, or?
I did talk to Green Acres Program, they have no say in the matter, so they were fine with it. The person at the county hasn't gotten back to me yet, so.
Well, I would just need the council's approval to move forward with a resolution for next council meeting. If that's okay.
Yes.
So, Jay,
It doesn't do any good nodding when you're looking at it.
I'll give you evil. Jay,
There's something for that.
Okay, thank you, Jay. The council reports. Mr. O'Brien, on the Finance Committee.
Yeah, I don't have anything new at this time, other than the one item to renew the JIP on the agenda.
Okay.
But we'll vote on that later.
Actually, Mr. Schultz? Nothing. Public Works is humming right along, correct? Yes. Okay. Sarah?
I have something here that I'm going to read. Oh, you want me to, okay.
Sorry.
Now I got two things.
Okay.
Jimmy Schuler, Councilman Schuler, asked me to read this. This was sent to Joe May from Jim McCartney, who is the superintendent of the Spring Lake Heights School. And it's a thank you. It says, Joe, I want to thank you and your team for all the work that you did last week in the courtyard. It looks amazing. The best it has looked in years. I know it was a major undertaking, so I appreciate the time that was put into it. Thanks again. And Joe, I guess, is the one who wrote this little note on the bottom. The guys that worked on this project from the DPW are Anthony Spinoza, Joseph Spinoza, and Peter Genzelewski. And so I just want to make everyone aware of that. I don't have anything on my own report, but now I'm going to do the recreation report. This is the summer recreation recommendations. The Spring Lake Heights Summer Recreation Program for the 2015 year appears to have been the most successful to date in terms of attendance, participant satisfaction, and physical outcomes. Once again, we exceeded 200 participants for the program, and daily attendance was high throughout the duration. Of course, participation ebbs and flows based on family vacations, but attendance was consistently high even toward the end. Informal feedback from students indicated they were pleased with the counselors and activities that were offered. Students described their counselors as nice and fun at the various age levels served. They appreciated the new arts and crafts, activities, and special events offered on a weekly basis. Parents were pleased with the level of organization, beginning with the sign-ups in the spring and the drop-off and pick-up procedures during the course of the program. They were also pleased that we added an extra week. The introduction of the additional week of the program at a small extra fee was a popular service and helped us to meet the needs of a longer program for those who asked for it without incurring additional costs to the taxpayer. We were able to find a balance between staffing and revenues and still hired every Spring Lake High student who wanted a position and was qualified. In total, we hired 44 people and ended with 42. 2 of the 44 employees went on to take different jobs before the program ended. Overall, we ended with positive cash flow and will now be able to put the money back into our programs. Because the recreation program is a fee-based program and not supported by the municipal budget, it is important that we maintain a balance between revenue and expenditures. Our program is one of the most economical in the area for parents and offers a high level of quality for students. This is evidenced by the number of Spring Lake Heights parents that take advantage of the program and the growing number of parents from neighboring towns who join the program and pay the non-resident fee. I recommend that the program structure and scope remain intact in the future as it functions well and provides a quality service at an excellent price. Respectfully submitted, Christopher Tinkin, Chairman of the Spring Lake Heights Recreation Committee.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Campion, Utilities.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you. I just have one from the fire company. This will be on the annual tree lighting, which will be held on Thursday, December 3rd. It will be at 7 p.m. at the fire company. That's on 6th Avenue. There'll be food and refreshments to follow the lighting. There'll be some music provided by the Spring Lake Heights School Band. They always play great music. And the special guest will be Santa. So that's tree lighting at Thursday, December 3rd, 7 p.m.
And just a reminder with that the fire company is selling trees again this year, so if you can spread the word and let everybody know before they get them, the trees will be on sale, I think, in the next week. They're going to be set up down there.
All right, good. Thank you.
If you could, that'd be wonderful.
We have, as far as the reports, notice, and correspondence, there's a big list there that everyone have a chance to skim through.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Delaney, you have to expand on any of them?
Just would note that the South Monmouth Regional Sewage Authority has provided us with the estimate of cost for the coming year. That obviously will be something that we'll be discussing further in budget preparation.
That was just an estimate, that was an estimate.
It is an estimate, although it's,
It was pretty close.
it's pretty close, and it's in line with our prior year sewage flows, so there's no surprises.
But that's billed based purely on flow through the system, right? That's metered?
It's essentially, it's a combination of the flow and percentage of the flow from the other tanks. So it essentially does, it's reflective of the volume of sewage flow that we have, as well as infiltration.
Thank you, Jay. Does anyone have any comments on the notices? There's no ordinance introduction at this time. We do have some resolutions. We'll begin with Resolution R 2015-167. This is authorizing a refund of overpaid taxes. Let me see. Yep. And we need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions? No roll call, Janine?
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-168, authorizing tax lien redemption. Need a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-169, authorizing continued membership in JIF. Need a motion and a second.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Jay?
Yes, Mayor, just for the record, as the resolution indicates, we have reviewed, this is our 3-year cycle for our membership in the self-insurance fund, the JIF, and it is my recommendation that we proceed. We've been a member of this JIF for in excess of 20 years. We have reviewed the loss data that's been provided by the management consultant and risk managers at the JIF, and we have an estimate, or actually it is a preliminary assessment charge for the 2016 year, which again will be part of our budget preparations, but it is in line with prior year's assessments and insurance costs.
Thank you, Jay. A roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-170, approving the use of the community center. Need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-171, approving the payment for claims on November 20th bill list.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions on the bills? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-172.
Mayor, would you like me to
Yes,
read
would you
that?
please, Janine?
It's a resolution of the Borough Council authorizing the absence of a councilman, resolution number R 2015-172, whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights hereby excuse Councilman Christopher Tinkin's vacancy from council meetings effective September 14, 2015 through November 23, 2015, as per NJSA 48:16-3. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council, the Borough of Spring Lake Heights, and the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey as follows. Number 1, the Borough Clerk is directed to forward a certified copy of this resolution to Councilman Christopher Tinkin.
Thank you. I believe we had a motion, correct? We have
No,
one?
no.
No,
I'll
we
make
did
a
not.
motion.
No, I'm sorry.
I'll second it.
Second. Do we have any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
No.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. If no one has any further comments, we need a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
actually.
we have the public comment.
Okay.
We got one comment.
One more.
Sorry. If you step forward, you may speak on any item you like.
Back to you.
I usually forget something. I mean, I'm sorry.
Officially Eileen Eilenberger, 1213 Pond Road. I'm actually here to issue an invitation. I have the Beautification Committee for our annual holiday tea on Thursday, December 3rd at 3:30. I'd love to have you all come at the community center.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on any item? Okay, seeing no hands, need a motion to close? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
If anyone doesn't have any other comment, need a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.